stuff, whether I'm not, whether something happens to me physically, or whether I end up in jail, or whether, whatever.
We've just uncovered footage that could shift the entire narrative. A few weeks before the tragic Vegas Strip incident that shook the internet, Manny Wise went live on Instagram, and what he said, how he said it, and the subtle cues in his demeanor are now under intense scrutiny. This wasn't the live stream from the night of the incident, but rather his final sit-down stream, a quiet, focused moment where he spoke directly to his audience about his thoughts, struggles, and emotional state. Unlike his usual upbeat walks through Las Vegas, this stream wasn't about entertainment. It was personal, reflective, unfiltered. In this video, we're diving deep into that live stream, not just to summarize, but to unpack the psychological landscape behind his words. What led to his breaking point? Were the warning signs hiding in plain sight? If you've been following this story, this may be the most revealing and unsettling chapter yet. Let's get into it. Over the past week, I've watched what easily amounts to over 100 hours of footage, live streams, reaction videos, re-uploads, TikToks, and even deleted clips just to fully grasp the magnitude and complexity of this incident. What started as curiosity slowly evolved into something deeper, almost like a hyperfixation. The layers, the contradictions, the shifting dynamics between the people involved, it's not just a series of internet beefs. It's a psychological web of identity, rejection, performance, and control. Spending that much time immersed in this content gave me a unique insight into the emotional landscape surrounding the key figures, especially Manny. Patterns begin to emerge. You notice what they say and what they don't say. The tone changes, the body language shifts, the story stops being about what happened and becomes about why it happened, and what it says about the world we live in, where parasocial relationships blur the line between audience and ally, between mockery and trauma, between content and consequences. This video is the result of that deep dive. Not to glorify it, not to sensationalize it, but to lay it bare, piece by piece, for those who are ready to look beyond the noise. This is more than a review, breakdown of his final public words, a look into the mind of someone who may have already crossed the line internally long before the physical act occurred. So settle in, because this video is heavy, thoughtful, and packed with nuance. We're about to explore the thought process of a man standing at the edge and what he revealed before the fall.
Where's crack-a-lacking, booty mother-freaking smacking familia? Sin City Family, stand up. What's up, Joey Stone's in his house?
Hey, Joey.
Good to see you, Joey. Snippy OG Rusty. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Guys, this is a very important stream today because we're going to be doing a giveaway to our Instagram followers. Only one person would be the winner of it.
From the very beginning of the video, Manny's emotional and psychological state offers key insights. He opens by referring to his subscribers as family, a deliberate choice of language that reveals his deep desire for belonging, loyalty, and control. By framing his audience as a family, he blurs the lines between viewer and personal ally. When a creator repeatedly refers to their online audience, essentially strangers, as family, it sets the stage for a paradoxical emotional environment rooted in pseudo-intimacy. Psychologically, this is a powerful move that fulfills multiple internal needs for the creator, while also setting expectations that can distort boundaries on both sides. At its core, calling subscribers family creates an illusion of closeness and loyalty. This is especially significant for individuals who may feel isolated, rejected, or powerless in real-life relationships. In such cases, the internet becomes a space where control is possible and family is not inherited but curated. It provides a substitute structure, one where the creator becomes the emotional anchor or authority figure. This framing elevates fan interactions from casual engagement to emotional transactions, where loyalty is equated with love and criticism becomes betrayal.
We are familia. Talk about Sin City Manny, because Sin City Family whooped my ass. Look in the mirror. You yourself might be a hater too. And some people don't know it until you get hit in the... They're all family. We're family. You come together, Sin City Family soldiers, and stand up. At all costs, defend each other. Sin City Family, stand up. Protect your family. This is a bond like no other, Protect your family. Take these people out.
But psychologically, this also sets a dangerous precedent. It encourages enmeshment, a lack of emotional boundaries between the creator and their audience. Over time, it can foster dependency, where the creator relies on affirmation from this family to regulate their self-worth. The danger escalates when the creator feels abandoned or challenged by those they once deemed family. This can lead to paranoia, feelings of persecution, and reactive aggression. But even as he speaks about unity and community, his nonverbal cues tell a more conflicted story. His hands are restless, fidgeting, gesturing more than usual, and at times clenching. This is not typical of his previous broadcasts, where he appeared more performative and composed. The excessive hand movements and visible tension suggest underlying anxiety, agitation, and possibly suppressed rage. What we may be witnessing is an internal conflict between his need to maintain his persona and the emotional collapse that was already underway. This juxtaposition of calling for family while visibly unraveling marks the first crack in the facade. It's an early warning sign of a deteriorating emotional state, and it sets the tone for the psychological unraveling that would follow.
What do you have to do to win? Well, we're going to tell you a little bit about it as we move on. Welcome, welcome, Sassy. Please give a motivational speech, she says. We love you. She says, Manny, my favorite is when you give motivational, please give one. All the time, you know it. You know that's what we do here. We inspire and motivate, and we're persistent in our path towards success. So I'm right here sitting with the beautiful queen next to me that's about to go live on tickety TikTok. So if you haven't yet followed her, make sure you do so you can catch her. She's gonna sleep with you guys today.
Shoot.
No?
I'm not gonna sleep.
Like Caleb. Look like Caleb.
And the chair, I'm gonna get a chair.
When you wake up, you're gonna have billions of followers.
I'm gonna get a chair and I'm gonna start snoring on the chair.
What's up, Mr. Hernandez? DJ Ben Rock, what's up, my boy? I fell asleep and woke up again since about it. Let's go. Dre, what's up?
That's my bed.
I look a little different because I let my hair grow. And I know that ain't fair, but we don't care. We the Sin City family. Bear down.
Bear down.
Another striking observation from this Manny Wise's live stream is how quickly his audience began requesting motivation almost reflexively, as if they had come to associate his very presence with upliftment and resilience. This is telling. Manny had long crafted an identity centered on positivity even amid chaos. Over time, this positioning shaped not just how his audience viewed him, but also how he likely viewed himself as someone who must always perform optimism regardless of what he was actually feeling. Psychologically, this is significant. It speaks to the concept of toxic positivity, the pressure to appear happy or high vibration at all times, even when one is unraveling internally. For his subscribers, Manny became a parasocial figure of hope, motivation, and energy. Many were deeply emotionally invested in him, not just as a content creator, but as a symbolic source of strength. In moments of real distress, they turned to him not as a peer, but as an emotional regulator. That's a heavy, unsustainable burden for anyone to carry, especially someone battling their own sense of loss and breakdown. So, when Manny went live, arguably to vent or seek connection in a vulnerable moment, he was instantly reabsorbed into the role of the motivator. You can observe the pressure building in subtle ways, the hand-wringing, the anxious fidgeting, the rehearsed tone. Despite being visibly strained, he continually reframed his words through a lens of inspiration. It wasn't safe to simply say, "I'm struggling." Adding another layer is the presence of Julie, his wife, seated beside him throughout. Her presence may have contributed to this performance mode, acting as a silent witness, a grounding presence, or even a subtle pressure to keep it together. Whether she was there for support or to maintain a unified front, her presence undeniably colored the tone of the stream. In essence, we're watching a man trying to vent through a filter, and that filter is his public persona. It's the tragic paradox of public vulnerability. The more you need to be real, the more the audience demands a mask.
Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Are you gonna sing us a song, carnal? You know what? ¿Sabes qué, brother? I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When my carnal photography film is here, I feel also okay. Let's go. Did you win a jackpot yet? No, we didn't win a jackpot. Well, you know what? Actually, I did win a jackpot when I met my wife. Baddie, hottie. Huh? Lately, I've been like, oh, wait. Let's do something else. She's like, you were gonna come already, weren't you? Oh, sorry. That's a good freestyle. You like it? Did you win the jackpot? out of the way. What's up, guys? What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? So, what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start pushing this Instagram thing. We don't really post much on it, and I know that I've been doing, live streams on it every chance I get. We're gonna try and push a little bit more. Sometimes it takes stuff you go through in life to put you in the fire in your butt, is what I like to call it. Motivate you and push you towards, if not, we sleep in, we don't get up on time, we don't, you know what I mean? There's stuff that we don't do that we don't feel the need to. And sometimes life gives you that push, like get your ass on it, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be negative, like the negativity that you be receiving, but at the end of the day, sometimes you utilize it like gasoline and use your energy and focus it into the right direction and right objective, which in my case is coming up in this social media / entertainment industry.
Manny Wise referred to his wife as his jackpot, a powerful, emotive phrase loaded with symbolism. On the surface, it seems like a genuine expression of love, but when viewed through a psychological lens and the broader context of their history, it also reveals deeper patterns in Manny's identity construction and emotional performance. Manny and Julie have reportedly been together since they were teenagers, ages 14 and 17, respectively. Yet, despite this long-standing relationship and the fact that they share 3 children, they only formalized their marriage late last year, more than 2 decades later. This delay complicates the claim that he has always seen her as his jackpot.
Am I married? No, I'm not married and I'm not single. I've been with Manny since I was 14, around there. It's been a long time we've been together, some years. But one day I will get married. One day.
While long-term relationships can take many forms, the timeline raises important questions about how Manny frames his personal life for public consumption versus how it may actually function in private. This performative aspect becomes even more evident in how frequently Manny showcases his affection publicly. He often speaks about Julie in glowing terms, sometimes in a way that feels rehearsed or overly curated, as though he needs an audience for his love, and positions him as a hero and her knight in shining armor. Psychologically, this aligns with someone who places immense value on external validation. Manny appears to derive his self-worth not just from being in a relationship, but from being seen as a family man, a loyal partner, a devoted father, a community builder. His deep concern with public perception likely drives much of his online behavior. His channel, his live streams, even his relationship all become part of a crafted image. In that sense, calling his wife his jackpot is less a private declaration and more a branding move meant to affirm his identity as a grounded, successful, emotionally stable man in the eyes of his followers. Childhood sweethearts can carry both deep bonds and deep-seated patterns that grow more performative with time, especially under public scrutiny. Additionally, Manny's attempts to reframe his shift from YouTube to TikTok and Instagram in a positive light, despite it being a forced pivot due to demonetization, further reveals his compulsion to maintain an upbeat facade. This performance of positivity, even in the face of loss and instability, reinforces the psychological toll of persona maintenance. Rather than confronting his downfall with vulnerability, he redirects with optimism, a survival mechanism, perhaps, but also a sign of how deeply entwined his identity is with his public image.
I'm really looking forward, honestly, to one day being a movie star. I want to be able to come on a movie. I want to be able to I want to be on TV, the big screen. I know we're on the big screen now, but you know what I'm saying. I just made a video, if you guys seen it, kind of like a movie thing, just to show like a little example of what we could do. I've dressed like a woman, if you guys seen that. I fit into every single character I become. I'm able to successfully, do it the right way. And I feel that one day it's gotta happen, All you gotta do in life, guys, is stay persistent, consistent, and one day it'll happen. Because if you're not consistent, when somebody actually goes out there looking, you won't be there because you ain't consistent. You weren't there, you know what I mean? And it always matters what you're about and what you're doing. Because if you're not doing the right thing or pushing the wrong freaking influence, then there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna want nothing to do with you. Sometimes if you stick to your craft and you be positive and focus on your guys' goal and future and stuff like that, on where you're going, your path, you get there faster, you know what I mean? You gotta focus on it. Focus on it 100%. Keep doing what you do. Don't let nobody steer you off your path, and just keep doing it. And eventually that opportunity will arise. But the day that you stop doing what you do because of who or what or when, it wouldn't work out. So
one of the more perplexing aspects of Manny's story is the contradiction between his apparent long-term aspirations and the destructive choices he made. Here he expresses a desire to become an actor, and it wasn't just wishful thinking. He saw his live streams, his skits, and even his elaborate costumes as a form of rehearsal, a personal stage where he could test characters, refine his presence, and build an audience. He took pride in these performances, often slipping into personas with theatrical flair. To him, these weren't just gimmicks. They were manifestations of his belief in a brighter future, in the idea that his talent and hustle could one day translate into something bigger, more permanent. His willingness to embody different characters showed a kind of psychological resilience. A person still dreaming, still shaping his identity, still preparing for a breakthrough. And that's what makes the events of that night so hard to reconcile. Why would someone so seemingly invested in the future, in a dream, in a brand, in a legacy, jeopardize everything with such a reckless act? How does someone go from wearing a costume in hopes of being discovered to becoming the central figure in a tragedy? The answer may lie in the psychological tension between identity performance and internal collapse. When people build themselves around a role they play, especially one rooted in hope and positivity, they may lack the internal tools to confront despair when that performance is no longer enough. The audience he sought validation from couldn't fix the cracks forming beneath the surface. So while he appeared hopeful, rehearsing for a life he still wanted, it's possible the emotional weight he was carrying had quietly outpaced his ability to manage it. That night may have been less a break from who he was, and more the moment the performance finally gave way to something raw, unresolved, and tragic.
no matter what, guys, I want to be that example that, look at me. We're at the all-time low, and then we get hit with this and that, and, it just keeps piling up on us, and life just keeps hitting us hard, And what do? Keep a smile on our face. We keep looking fresh and clean. Keep our hair nice and combed. We keep eating like healthy. We keep smiling and grinding. Sometimes we pay attention more to the negative stuff than the positive. We don't look at the bright side of certain situations. We only tend to focus and tunnel vision the bad. Now, one of the good things I would like to say, I don't personally like that hater stuff and all that, people that hate on us and talk bad about us. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that are actually responsible for pushing us to be more. You know what I mean? They're making us get on the grind. They're making us prove them wrong. They're making us get to where we need to be faster, just to prove that we are who we say we are. Sometimes you gotta prove to people who you are when you being real to begin with, but people need, they need, background. They need receipts. They need, evidence and so forth. But I'm here to tell you guys that I'm going to continue running my channel and my family and all that the right way.
Most revealing aspects of Manny Wise's final sit-down live stream is his frequent shift between expressing genuine frustration and immediately cloaking those emotions in motivational language. At several points, you can see him begin to open up, his voice tightens, his hands fidget, his expression becomes more raw, as if he's on the verge of letting the audience see just how overwhelmed and embittered he truly feels. But just as quickly, he swerves into rehearsed-sounding affirmations. Everything happens for a reason, stay positive, I'm just focused on growth. This rhetorical pattern serves multiple psychological purposes. First, it allows him to maintain the illusion of control, a persona that's emotionally resilient and always rising above the chaos. But more significantly, it helps mask internal turmoil he may not feel safe confronting, especially in front of an audience that once idolized him. It becomes a defense mechanism and also a performance, one that simultaneously denies vulnerability and demands sympathy. But this behavioral loop may have had unintended consequences, especially for those on the receiving end of his threats, including Finny the legend. If you're someone watching a man issue public threats but always retreating back into positivity and motivational mantras, it creates confusion. It muddies the seriousness of his words. It tells viewers, and perhaps Finny himself, he doesn't really mean it. He seems too self-aware, too composed, too emotionally intelligent to ever truly lash out. That illusion of stability fueled by these contradictory rhetorical shifts may have given Finny and others a false sense of security. In hindsight, it's chilling, because that very tactic, that oscillation between fury and forced optimism, may have been the clearest signal that something within was deeply fractured and ready to snap.
Let me get you at a red light, Finny. That fat boy over there in Arizona, somebody got checked on. Send me the picture. I want to see that. Somebody got to do it. Teach him. I would never mislead anybody or ask anybody to do something that would mess with their life, their income, or anything like that in a bad way. If you guys hang around with me and watch me, I'm always focused on what we do and always executing, no matter what day it is, no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on in life, and no matter what has gone on or what they say, it doesn't matter. We continue doing what we do because we want to do. That's what we came out to do. And you're either all in or you're not. And you're always going to get that. No matter what you do for a living, doesn't matter what you do. You're always going to have, somebody not liking you heading where you're heading. People will support you as long as you don't get more than them. As soon as you start to come up more than somebody that supports you, they don't like that shit. Oh no. And everybody's a competitor nowadays in life. It doesn't matter if it's your family or friends. Everybody is a competitor. Everybody wants to be better than the next person. And yes, they'll wish success for you at the beginning, but once you become more successful than that individual, it's when things change. That's why a lot of the most successful people are by themselves. That's why they don't bring family around, friends around. They hold it by themselves because it's just the way it is. Now me, I've said it before, I'll say it again. As long as I got my lady, my wife, my best friend, my partner in crime, not in crime, but my partner in bed, you know, as long as I got my wife next to me, where we first started together as one, and when we started, we've been doing this thing, and we both be putting in that work to try and get where we at. We both put up with all this stuff. We both stress on it. We fight over it. It's something that we share as a couple, and that's the way it should be. It should be that way for everybody and anybody that's with somebody. You should be able to depend and rely on your soulmate / your partner, your relationship. If your partner is not supporting or seeing what you see, then maybe that's not the right person for you. You know, sometimes we got to keep that type of stuff away from them, hide that specific interest and lifestyle from them because they want to prove it. You know, you mention it and they shut it down quick, and then now you just got to think by it by yourself. You know what I mean? You got to secretly watch it on TV, what you really wanted to do, but you can't because your person that you love and trust and share your life with doesn't believe or care about what you want to do or what you believe that you want to do or achieve. It happens a lot. Now, I ain't saying get rid of your partner because they don't support you.
Another telling moment in Manny Wise's final live stream is his use of doublespeak, specifically in how he talks about his wife, Julie. At first, he paints a picture of absolute unity, calling her his partner in life, in crime, in everything. He speaks passionately about the importance of seeing eye to eye with your spouse, suggesting a deep, almost inseparable bond. This language frames their relationship as not only emotionally close but also strategically aligned, as if everything he thinks, feels, or does is known and possibly endorsed by her. But then, in almost the same breath, he backtracks. He casually inserts a comment that you can't tell your spouse everything because they wouldn't be able to handle it. It's subtle but important. This contradiction sets up a layered and conflicting narrative. On one hand, they're an inseparable team. On the other, she's deliberately kept in the dark about certain things. This is classic psychological compartmentalization, a way of protecting both the self and others from uncomfortable truths, or at least justifying withholding those truths. In Manny's case, it provides a built-in narrative of deniability for Julie. If things went too far, like the tragic confrontation at the Bellagio fountain, his earlier statements could be used to suggest she knew everything. But his conflicting words also allow him and others to argue that she actually didn't know because he intentionally shielded her from the more dangerous or volatile aspects of his world. This contradiction may not only reflect Manny's inner conflict between transparency and secrecy, control and chaos, but also becomes deeply significant in the public's perception of Julie's possible awareness or complicity. In hindsight, these words may be doing more than just expressing marital dynamics. They could be laying the groundwork for plausible deniability.
But I'm just saying that that does exist, where there's a lot of people out there that don't have what I have. Where I have my girl that supports me 100%, and she pushes me too. She pushes me to do this stuff. You know, you might not think so, but right now she's sitting down right next to me right now watching me. You know, she is watching me like a hawk. And I could just hear her little finger grinding. But yeah, guys, we are in a path where we must continue moving forward.
What becomes painfully clear while watching Manny's live stream is the emotional whiplash he appears to be experiencing in real time. At one moment, he speaks with hope, sharing his dreams of becoming an actor, proudly referring to his performances as preparation for something greater. But almost immediately that hope contracts. His tone shifts. He begins to speak as someone who feels deeply wronged, overwhelmed by what he perceives as an orchestrated pile-on by former supporters and online critics. It's as if, in his mind, the future he envisioned has slipped just out of reach, and the blame, in his eyes, belongs everywhere but within. He casts himself as the victim of betrayal, chaos, and sabotage, often referencing how he's been unfairly targeted. And yet, this portrayal omits his own role in fueling the fire. Reports indicate he blocked nearly 3,000 subscribers for simply questioning him, creating a vacuum of accountability around himself. What follows is a coping mechanism, a rapid pivot back into positivity. He switches gears, offering encouragement and motivation to his viewers even while it's clear that beneath the surface he is unraveling. This pattern of inflating himself with optimism only to collapse into grievance reveals a man wrestling with a fractured sense of control. His repeated expressions of love and gratitude toward his wife, Julie, interspersed with light frustration, further reflect his mental state. She represents one of the few constants in his world, a personal anchor amidst a storm of social instability. Yet even the connection is filtered through the same lens of performance, leaving viewers uncertain of what's genuine and what's for show. This live stream becomes less about broadcasting and more about holding on. Manny appears to be narrating his life from two realities, one where he's the underdog hero destined for greatness and another where he's the misunderstood martyr in a cruel, collapsing world. The tragic irony is that, in trying to preserve both identities, he may have lost sight of who he truly was.
I am in a place right now where I just need to stay busy, because when I start to sit and think, I really start to think. And right now I'm in a place where I'm such a crybaby. Like anything I see that's emotional on TV, or whether it's a short or a reel or anything like that, I hear something sad, it makes me break down right away. I'm right now in that stage. I'm really emotional these past couple days. But in a way, if you ain't got that, then you ain't got that encouragement. You ain't got that need to do those things. You know what I mean? And I feel that me being that way is just proof to myself of how much pride and how much, love I have for this. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, if you were to lose your job or whatever, or something happened, we get written up at work, you laugh about it, wouldn't care. But me, I take it very personal, what I do, because I got much love and I focus a lot. This is my dream. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. This is what we built. This is where we work so hard to be. And not a lot of people, that. Not a lot of people can make it where we at right now. You know, a lot of people get 1,000 subscribers and think they're the shit already. Which, I mean, it's so right, because at the end of the day, there's people that have way more than me, right? I mean, look at Normal is just celebrating how many? 300,000 or something? I don't know. There's people that have way thousands more subscribers than us. But you should never ever focus on somebody else. But then again, I take that back, because you should. You should always compare yourself not to people that are below you and not to people that are right here, but you need to set your goal way up here. Don't focus on those that got 1,000, 2,000. You know what I mean? Like in my right now particular, it's just an example from where I'm at. Like You guys' position and work and all that might be different, but I tend to focus and set my goals up where 300K subscribers at, where the 200K at. That's who I look at. That's who I want to get more views in. You know what I mean? That's who I want to try and beat, you know? And I don't mean beat like physically or like trying to hurt the person. I'm just saying like, that's how I set a goal where I want to, you know, a lot of people, what do? They set, they compare themselves to themselves. They let themselves motivate them. So that's who they're trying to beat, themselves. What I mean by that is that they try to be better than the yesterday yourself. So today, try and be better than the yesterday person. Whoever you did or whatever you did yesterday, next day try to be better than that. And then the next day better than that, you know? And that's cool too. But you know, sometimes if you're comparing yourself to your own and you're setting your goals compared to yourself, sometimes you might be way down here and you're comparing yourself to yourself and you're not you're not in a place where you should even be, you know what I mean, comparing yourself to yourself. And that's what I mean. That's why I say focus and pay attention more to people that are up way up here. Say your goals up way up here, guys. You know, don't say your goals to shit that's reachable, stuff you can really achieve that you know you can get it. Set it as something that's difficult, that's hard to get to, that you know that it's gonna take fucking time. Because if you at the end of the day, if you don't hit that goal, well, guess what? Since it was so high your fucking goal, when you didn't hit it, you ain't gonna fall that low. You can still be up there, you know. Versus if you had set yourself down here and you hit it, then what? So always set your goals up high, guys. Set a goal high. And another thing is on motivational speeches and freaking advice and all that, make sure that person has the experience that you're listening to for advice. Make sure that person is successful. Make sure that person is something that person wanted to be. Make sure that person is somebody you want to be. Because the moment that you start paying attention, listening to somebody and focusing on what they're saying or trying to be what they are, you know, that's where you might end up to be just like they are. So really take a look at that person and think like, do I want to end up like that and be like that? Now, and I don't mean like financially, but I mean the way that you look at life and the way that you address stuff, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you, no matter what you go through, you keep doing what you do. You know what I mean? No matter what, you guys always go do your goals, and sometimes in life we're gonna make mistakes. We are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We are all gonna eventually make mistakes, and don't be ashamed of it. Because you're only human, it's normal to make mistakes. You know, you gotta make a mistake to be able to learn from it. Otherwise, how you gonna learn? You know, you ain't trying if you ain't failing. So you need to at least give it a try, guys. A lot of us hesitate. Don't even put 1 foot in. You know, try that. Do it. Just do it. And if you're gonna do it, go all the way in. And once you're all the way in, don't stop. Don't stop. Don't let nobody fool you or try to tell you otherwise, because you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it. People don't like you doing that type of stuff. You know, people tend to focus on putting other people down and killing people's dreams, while we focus climbing, baby. Our focus is to climb. Theirs is to bring people down. So while they're focused on other people to put them down, we're climbing. We're advancing. We're learning, and we're getting stronger, and our hearts, our emotions are getting prepared. This shit right here that's happening with us, you know, it's nothing. There's nothing compared to people that have 1 million followers. I think Steve will do it that had over 1 million subscribers making bank money. YouTube canceled his channel. Remember that, lady? YouTube kicked him out. Imagine that, you know? So I try to compare myself to that. Not compare myself, but my situation. I think that, oh, look at me, but look at him. Look at everything he lost. But that guy's still going, he's still doing his thing.
Back to him, huh?
He's still doing his thing. No matter what, he went on kick and he still kept grinding. You're not gonna roll up in the bar and just give up. You're gonna keep trying to achieve your goals. And sometimes stuff you said or did sometimes might make people forever ever judge you on that flaw or that mistake or that certain thing you said or did that, you know, is long ago, or, you know, people tend to always highlight your mistakes, you know. And there's nothing wrong with us acknowledging and accepting the fact that we made those mistakes. But like I said, that's the way we learn. We learn from them, you know. We learn from our mistakes, and I've learned so much, guys.
Manny reveals a glimpse into his emotional world, but even that feels filtered, carefully managed. He admits to crying spontaneously from watching sad clips on TikTok, a moment of vulnerability that should signal emotional openness. But instead of sitting with the rawness of that admission, he quickly reframes it as a strength and indication of his sensitivity, his depth, his humanity. It becomes another layer in his curated identity rather than a true moment of self-reflection. What we're witnessing is someone who struggles with emotional regulation but seeks to cloud that struggle with performative optimism. He doesn't process his emotions, he repackages them. The sadness becomes a strength, the frustration becomes motivation, the perceived failure becomes fuel for a comeback story he's trying to convince himself and others is still unfolding. He continues this emotional displacement by pivoting quickly to ambition. Speaking about his YouTube dreams, his desire to be recognized like the bigger creators, his comparisons to those with massive followings. But what's striking is the type of success he emphasizes: popularity, validation, metrics. His idea of growth seems tied not to personal evolution but to external affirmation. This makes his narrative especially fragile because any challenge, any criticism becomes more than just a bump in the road. It becomes a threat to his identity. From there, he steers the conversation back to mistakes and motivation, but this too is wrapped in deflection. Rather than acknowledging personal accountability, his motivational messages are laced with subtle reminders of the people who came for him, the antagonists in his mind who blocked his path. His version of motivation is not a clean break from negativity, it's a mask for unresolved bitterness. Ultimately, Manny's stream reveals someone desperately trying to reassert control over his emotions, his narrative, and how he's seen. But beneath the surface is a man in turmoil, performing positivity because it's safer than confronting the chaos underneath.
This YouTube stuff is a totally different life. It's not like the streets. It's not like you know, your family and friends. Like, this is different, and nobody else can know what I'm talking about unless you do what we do. And I'm talking about, like, and you know, honestly, nobody could know what we do because nobody's been at the level that we have been and what we've achieved. Of doing over 1,200 nights straight every single day, no days off, guys. Walking thousands and thousands of miles. You know what I mean? Putting ourselves in the front line at risk. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with people that know you, look for you. Some people don't like you walking around with a camera. Some people don't like you seeing with a camera, and just because you have a camera, you're in danger. You know, you become a target. And me, I'm with my beautiful wife at times where it's just me and her, and I feel like she's in danger too, you know? There's times where I felt worried that something might happen to her. Like, if anything, I told her they whoop my ass or whatever, but I want you to be able to stay here, take care of the kids, you know? If I have to go, let me teach you how to do this and that on YouTube, because if something ever happens to me and I gotta leave this earth prior to you, you need to know how to do this stuff. And I try and teach her. And it's not that I'm saying that they're gonna kill me, but we need to be prepared for anything in this point in life. And it's like, she needs to know all this stuff, whether I'm not, whether something happens to me physically, or whether I end up in jail, or whether, you know, whatever. You need to always prepare your loved ones for it. I've seen so many times in the news, people pass away and the wives crying, saying that he was the breadwinner and now I don't know what to do, crying. That breaks my heart. Carrying a little child, you know, like he was the one that would pay the bills. He's the one that would make the moves. I don't know what to do now, like crying, you know. And we cannot leave our loved ones like that, guys. We need to be able to see and acknowledge the fact that we are human. Eventually we gotta die. And sometimes, depending on our lifestyle, we might go a lot more sooner than our women, because our women tend to take care of themselves more than us fools, right? We go out to drink, smoke, snort, do all that crazy shit. You know what I mean? Eat off the floor and shit. You know what I mean? Eat butt. But real talk though, men tend to die a lot faster than women because men are always into crazy, you know, look at us how we play as kids, you know? The girls are with Barbie dolls and we're all there jumping fucking fences, you know what I mean? So it's obvious that men obviously go before women. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is if you got your woman with you and you are the sole breadwinner and that she depends on you to bringing in the bread, like you need to find out something to teach her what to do just in case, just what if.
At this point in the live stream, a deeper, more conflicted layer of Manny begins to unravel. He shifts into a commentary on the dangers of filming in public, insisting that most people dislike being filmed without consent. The irony is striking, almost jarring. This entire tragic saga, by many accounts, began with Manny himself objecting to being filmed. Yet, historically, he has had no qualms about turning the camera on others, often using it as a tool of dominance, humor, or commentary. This contradiction suggests a double standard that reveals more about his internal psychology than his external logic. Manny views the camera not as a neutral object but as an extension of power, one he's comfortable wielding, but deeply uncomfortable being subjected to. This power dynamic becomes even more complex when considered alongside his persistent need to project a hypermasculine identity. Manny is roughly 5 feet 4 inches, and while height itself is not a flaw, he seems to perceive it as a personal disadvantage in a world, and perhaps in a self-image, where dominance and intimidation matter. That insecurity leaks into his language, his energy, and his paranoia. It may partly explain his perpetual fear of being targeted, overpowered, or disrespected. This anxiety manifests not just in vague discomfort but in a full-blown psychological spiral. As he speaks, the live stream takes a darker turn. He begins talking about preparing his wife for the worst, either his death or his incarceration. He suggests he's teaching her how to run YouTube, painting this as some noble act of foresight. But here's the inconsistency. His wife has already had a YouTube channel for 3 years, one focused on live streams and shopping. The dissonance in his narrative reveals something else. A need to frame himself as the central pillar, the protector, the strategist, even when reality contradicts the story he's telling. Throughout this section, Manny oscillates between heroic declarations and unfiltered paranoia. He speaks of being killed, being arrested, or being set up. His fears span from armed robbery to earthquakes, as though danger is always looming. He admits to using drugs, another crack in the image of control and composure he tries to maintain. And all the while, his wife sits beside him, silently. Her presence, unreactive, calm, perhaps weary, adds another layer of tension. One can't help but wonder what was going through her mind as he spiraled live on camera, inching closer to the darkest parts of himself. In this ramble, we see not just a man under pressure, but one who feels besieged by forces both real and imagined. His inability to reconcile his perceived vulnerability with the image of a masculine protector seems to be eating away at him. The live stream becomes less a motivational message and more a public unraveling dressed in the language of strength.
You know? The same thing with your kids. Do they know what to do if someone was to kick in your door and come into your house to rob you? Do they know what to do if there was an earthquake? Do your kids know what to do if you didn't come home one day? You know, those are things we gotta think about and teach our kids. You know, daddy didn't come back one day. Like, you know, you gotta, you know, and make them understand that. And sometimes I don't want to talk to my son about this type of stuff that we go through, but at the same time, I want him to understand, like I said, just in case something's to happen, I want him to know the truth. And I don't want him to go based on all these shit rumors that go around. You know, I don't want him to believe that. I want him to be like, nah, daddy told me. He told me about you fools. You know what I mean? So have your kids prepared. Have yourself prepared, your wife prepared. Because we just never know when it's our last day, when the day we won't wake up. That's why you always got to be blessed to wake up every day, guys. Every day's a blessing. People are embarrassed to say their age when they're getting older. Why are you embarrassed? You should be proud of yourself. You should be grateful and blessed that you lived longer than a lot of people. You must have lived past a lot of people you knew. They fucking wish they were here with us. I can assure you that there's nobody that wishes that they would pass away. Everybody want to be here, see your family and kids and brothers and sisters grow. Everybody want to be here see your girlfriend, you know, you all want that, you know. So, and even the people that end up like, no, I don't even want to go into that because I feel it's kind of powerful. But if you guys ever feel depressed, don't feel alone, my advice to you is stay busy. Find something to do that keeps you 100% focused on that. Because if you're going through something stressful, emotional, and you sit there and think about it and just, you know, think, then you just dig and put yourself in that dark place, you know. You're killing yourself. Or you gotta find an activity. What I found is editing these videos that I'm doing. I get really.
In one of the more emotionally complex segments of the live stream, Manny veers into a deeply unsettling yet revealing topic, preparing his children for the possibility of his absence. It's a startling moment. Why would a father teach his kids to emotionally prepare for his non-existence, especially when he has no terminal illness or immediate threat that's publicly known? This reveals a state of anticipatory grief, not just fear of death, but a psychological rehearsal for it. It's a mindset common in individuals overwhelmed by paranoia, depression, or a growing sense of finality in their circumstances. He then mentions preparing his son specifically to resist rumors. This raises a critical question. What rumors? And why is he preemptively framing a narrative for his child to believe? The psychological need here seems clear. Manny desires control over how he will be remembered, especially by those closest to him. In a public sphere that he may feel is turning against him, he turns inward to protect his legacy in the eyes of his family. That type of preemptive image management is not uncommon among people who anticipate either scandal, exposure, or a sudden fall from grace. What follows next is a jarring tonal shift. He begins talking about the importance of being alive and the beauty of life, a hopeful, life-affirming message that feels oddly out of place considering the context. It comes across as cognitive dissonance, where he seems to be trying to override his inner turmoil with positivity, possibly in an effort to regulate his own anxiety on camera. But he doesn't stay there for long. He quickly swings into simplistic advice about dealing with depression, suggesting people should stay busy. This advice, though well-meaning on the surface, sounds more like self-talk than guidance. It's as if he's trying to convince himself that distraction is the solution to the storm brewing inside him. In this, we see a man who appears to be battling internal chaos, attempting to mask it with motivational cliches. Altogether, this portion of the video doesn't just show inconsistencies, it displays the hallmarks of someone grappling with overwhelming fear, a need to control perception, and deep emotional disarray. The conversation with his audience becomes less about helping them and more about stabilizing himself in real time.
Really into it. I'm like, I countless hours of restless. I don't get tired. Before I know, I'm like, oh, the sun's coming out already. Holy shit. But I feel like in the position I'm at right now, at this specific time, sleep ain't an option. 2-3 hours of sleep. If I can function, let's go. You know, but obviously, like, if I can't and I'm like up, then obviously I need to like take some time off. But as long as I can still kick and come out live and do this stuff for you guys, I'm gonna keep spending every single moment of my life while I'm awake working on ways to come up, not working on ways to put myself down. You understand? So what I mean by that is I'm not gonna spend my time laying there just thinking of the bad stuff that's going on in life, putting myself down, you know, instead of building myself up. So that's what I'm doing right now. And it's so weird, guys. It's like there's like signs that make me so emotional when I think about it, but like all this stuff that's happening and other stuff happening behind it, and like everything's like making sense in a way, and it's like preparing us, you know. It's pushing us and making us sometimes we're going down a path that's probably not going to get us to where we want, and the only way to change that path is to, you know, run into a different road. And sometimes we got to be pushed to a different road by a barrier or by a speed bump or by, you know. And always, guys, think about the positive stuff. Stop highlighting the bad. And take it from me, guys. Take it from me because I'm going through some shit. Julie is. Right now, our YouTube channel, it got freaking demonetized, which means we don't make it 1 penny on that channel no more. And that's hard. It's hard to swallow when you really think about all the work we put in. When I go back, look at the first videos of us first going out and doing stuff on our own. And then the thought of seeing these videos, past live stream, and seeing when you welcome these people into your life with open arms and treated them like you let them into you, and you introduce them to people that you work so hard and long to finally come across and meet. It's hard to come across good people nowadays, you know? And we so to say, searched through the whole world. We traveled the world and searched, everybody worldwide tuned in, and like, you know, we went through different generations to get where we are right now. The people that we have right now that have been here for years, it took us a while to come across them. It's hard to come across loyal people. We found our loyal people, and that's why I take so good care of you guys. That's why on my channel I don't tolerate any type of bullying or anybody being uncomfortable in there. You know, because I don't want anybody that's on my side like that helps us, you know, going down that road.
At one point in the live stream, Manny casually reveals that he survives on just 2 to 3 hours of sleep per night, a concerning admission that cannot be overlooked. Sleep deprivation is well documented to impair judgment, reduce emotional regulation, and intensify feelings of paranoia and anxiety. In this context, it paints a clearer picture of a man potentially spiraling mentally and emotionally, yet trying to maintain composure for a public audience. He distracts himself, perhaps even self-medicates psychologically through an obsessive focus on content creation. But shortly after, he begins to speak about himself in first-person pronouns, stating he's on a path he may not want to be on, using we, us, one. This linguistic shift is telling. Referring to oneself in first-person pronouns can be a coping mechanism for dissociation or internal conflict and making it a collective consciousness. It's as though he is mentally distancing himself from the actions he anticipates or feels compelled toward, signaling a deep inner conflict. He then begins identifying emotional signs, clues he feels he has missed or ignored. While vague, this admission reflects a moment of self-awareness, where he seems to recognize that something within him is changing. What follows is perhaps the most emotionally raw part of the video, his admission that his YouTube channel has been demonetized. Here, you can almost see him break down in real time. The word demonetization is difficult for him to even pronounce. His voice cracks, his energy shifts. For someone who built his identity around content creation and digital success, the demonetization is more than a financial blow. It's an existential wound. His reaction suggests feelings of rejection, humiliation, and loss of purpose. What's striking is that he positions himself as a victim, claiming that those he supported and showed love to were the same people responsible for his downfall. This creates a strong emotional appeal, and if this were the only clip you ever saw of Manny, you might genuinely feel sorry for him. But here lies the psychological contradiction. Many viewers who have followed the feud closely know that he himself engaged in flagging and copyright striking others, attempting to get their channels removed as well. So while he sees himself as a victim, there's evidence that he actively participated in the very behavior that ultimately came back to haunt him. This paradox, playing both oppressor and oppressed, adds to the complexity of his mental state. In essence, this moment is not just about demonetization. It's about identity collapse, public rejection, and the shattering of a digital persona he built over years. What viewers are witnessing is not just a frustrated creator. It's someone mentally unraveling under the weight of public scrutiny, emotional exhaustion, and unprocessed guilt.
Because if there's a video to be sent to corporate office asking, is this the type of person that represents your company? And it's shared in the thousands of viewers we have. What do you think is gonna happen? So I'll tell you right now, Tanisha, if I hear another little peep today from that channel, I will personally reach out to corporate and send them my report along with the clips of what you did, and I'll make a video of it and let them and post it for the public to see, and tag your company, corporate office. You might be friends with the immediate people you're with right now, Tanisha,
or whatever your name is, you know what I'm talking about. You might be really buddies with the people in your office, but baby girl, yours is a well-known worldwide business. Yes, that. I'm not sure if I don't even think you've met corporate. You've probably seen them make speeches and stuff like that, but I don't think you're friends with them. They're the ones who's gonna get the clips. Send them the clips of what you did to me, unprovoked, and then how your husband continues to stalk and harass me. Send them the clip of that too. I already have it all. I have it ready. So I'm telling you right now, is it worth it for you? I recommend you disappear from the face of YouTube and call it a win. You had your fun and y'all just disappear. If not, I'm gonna do that. And you know I have that information, Tanisha.
In different stream years earlier, Manny can be heard threatening Finny's wife, who reportedly works for a multinational company. He insinuates contacting her workplace and even offering to submit a video presumably aimed at discrediting her. This wasn't just a personal jab, it represented a dangerous escalation. When someone begins targeting a person's family or livelihood, it crosses from online beef into real-world consequences. When a person feels powerless, they often lash out at what their mind frames as unfair advantages held by others. If Finny had supporters, reach, and a growing platform, and Manny had lost his, then attacking what Finny held dear may have seemed, in Manny's eyes, like the only card left to play. It's no surprise, then, that Finny doubled down on his own platform, becoming more aggressive in tone and protective of his narrative. Manny's move here revealed something deeper, a desire to dominate not just his rival, but everything his rival cared about. It's this kind of behavior that strips the conflict of its digital boundaries and starts to blur the line between trolling and psychological warfare.
So, just know, guys, as long as I'm alive, I will keep on kicking. I will keep on doing what I do because my son watches our I'm sorry, pardon my language. He watches our streams. I got home from the day I dressed like a woman. If you guys didn't know, I dressed like a woman, right? We call her Manuela. My name is Manuel. And we got home the following day. My son goes, "Daddy, I saw you girl. You were a girl. Hey, you pretty, Daddy." But why you did that? And I'm like, how'd you see it? How'd you know? And he pulled out his little tablet and he showed me how he's able to search now and find us. So that's even more motivation for me. Because now, before I was trying my hardest to eliminate that type of behavior and rumors, people talking like that, I didn't want that. Because I didn't want him to get to this point where he's able to find us and then hear all this other shit. But now, I'm on a different mentality. He knows now. He knows now. So now what I gotta do is every time I speak, everything I address and everything I do is an example to my son. It's an example to my son. And along with everybody that watches me, example to myself, my parents that worked so hard to raise me, you know?
Now, circling back to the initial stream, Manny makes a point of telling viewers that his young son regularly watches his streams. He even shares an intimate moment. His son once called him pretty while watching him perform one of his cross-dressing characters. On the surface, this might appear sweet or lighthearted, but in the broader context, it carries a deeper implication. That comment was likely a direct response to the criticism Manny received online, where some mocked his masculinity or questioned his sexuality due to his performance personas. So by highlighting this interaction, he seems to be deliberately reframing the narrative, using his son's approval to challenge the ridicule and affirm his identity on his own terms. And while Manny presents this moment with a mix of pride and vulnerability, it reveals much more beneath the surface. As he speaks, there's an undercurrent of concern, even fear. He doesn't say it outright, but you can sense the unease. What if his son stumbles on the wrong narrative? What if he sees the mocking videos, the threats, or the online accusations? What if he sees the version of his father that others have painted, or worse, the version Manny himself has publicly displayed during his more volatile moments? There's a subtle psychological tension here, the desire to be admired versus the fear of exposure. Manny seems torn between wanting to be a role model, someone his son can look up to, The more he tried to preserve his online persona as a strong, positive figure, the more desperate he may have become to silence or discredit those who challenged it, including Finny and others. This segment not only shows how deeply his identity was wrapped in external validation, but also how that validation was increasingly threatened, not just by strangers online, but now by the eyes of his own family. The stakes, emotionally and psychologically, were growing higher. His son seeing him not as a superhero, but as a man under fire, mocked, accused, losing control, could have been devastating to Manny's sense of self. But it's this very revelation that becomes deeply unsettling. Because if his son did, in fact, watch his father's streams regularly, it's possible he was watching on the night of the shooting. Suddenly, Manny's repeated claims that everything he does is for his son and for his followers become haunting. What lesson was ultimately taught?
What's up, Carlos, my boy? Where the hell? Dude, we were just talking about you earlier, huh, Julie? Today, dude. One of those little cars passed by. And I'm like, whoa, that's Carlos. What the hell? We haven't seen Carlos. How's Carlos? Carlos, how you been, brother? Thank you for your service, my boy. Carlos, I'm sorry that happened. I just got put through, y'all. Sassy. Tell her she loves motivational speeches. Really sorry. I've been working, bro, about to go to bed. Get some rest, my boy. Get some rest. Carlos works a lot of different jobs, right? Takes care of his family, literally. Pays for all their phone bills. And that's a good man right there, man. And takes really good care of his wife. And, like, that's somebody you want to look up to. Sometimes people you look up to don't have to be financially better than you. But the way that they help people and stuff like that, you have to learn that one day. We all gotta learn that. You remember what? I don't give a fuck about them. We don't eat that good. Mike Nita, we are live. Yeah. So guys, my focus right now, I don't know if you noticed, if you guys follow me on TikTok yet, I'm trying to get that to the live streaming ability. Where I could live stream from TikTok. It's a platform that is totally different from YouTube. And what I mean by that, oh look, what was that? Who did that?
Who did what?
The hell, did someone just give us money? What the hell, you can make money on this? Someone just give you money. Who did that? Do it again.
I don't think so. What are you talking about?
Right now, it popped up right. Boop. Do that again, boys. Who did that? Who did that? Bigger Live Media. How's your night? It's going good, my brother. It's going good. Nightly Night, what's up, my boy? Steve, what's up? I don't know what that was, Risa. Carlos, you have to apply for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, to be able to live stream on TikTok, I think it's, Callie said 400 followers. I'm at 200.
It says 1,000.
Julie says 1,000.
I Google it. How many followers?
If you have a TikTok account, guys, please add me and share me, guys. Help me get there, guys, because that's something I want to do, and with or without anybody's help, like, I'm gonna get there, right? But if you guys can help me, that'd be great. Buffalo's here, Yuli.
Hey, Buffalo.
Mike Nita, you want to join me? I'm bringing you in for a little bit. I see what Mike's up to. I'm Mike.
Let's see.
Adam says, I thought it was 1,002, but I only have 600, and it didn't mean no life. Adam, share me. Share me on your TikTok, guys. ¿Qué onda, Nali? ¿Qué rollo con el pollo? ¿Qué tranza con la mendiga panza? Aquí estoy. Just kicking that. Or just kicking that bigger. Beaker, I haven't seen you in a while too, my boy. Tony Lively. What's up, Tony? Oh, Mike Neal's unable to join me. Then why you send me the request, Mike? Te dio miedo, cabrón. So you're like, What's it? How's it? On my way to work. Good morning, everyone. Junior, good morning, my boy. How you feeling today? You ready for your job? Another day, another dollar. Holla. Mikey's Sad Adventures. I joined. Oh, you're following me? Nadie dice, aquí nomás, ¿y tú? ¿Qué vendes, compa? Saludos, y la Yuli. I cannot let me. Yuli, say hi to Natalie. Say hi.
Hola.
How's this, bro? You saw me earlier, you said? Where at? I might have been taking an order. You're on the strip. Hey, northbound. Mike says, I miss your day streams, Manny. I know, brother, I know. I do too.
As the live stream unfolds amidst the mix of motivational mantras and subtle emotional unraveling, there comes a moment that's as revealing as it is heartbreaking. While scrolling through comments and shouting out familiar usernames, an Instagram-like notification flashes briefly on the screen, and in that fleeting second, Manny's entire demeanor shifts. His face brightens. His eyes widen. It's not just a casual reaction, it's hope. For a moment, the weight he had been carrying, the frustration, the exhaustion, the tension, seems to lift. He perks up, visibly energized by what seems like such a small thing, a simple like. But in that small gesture from a faceless viewer, Manny saw a possibility. A new platform. A new beginning. Maybe his expression seems to say, I can still turn this around. But that spark of optimism reveals something far deeper. How desperate and validation-starved he had become. This wasn't just about platform engagement, it was about emotional survival. It shows how much he was clinging to digital recognition as a lifeline. Financially, emotionally, and socially. Every like, every comment, every super chat had become more than a metric. It was a reassurance that he still mattered, that someone somewhere was still watching, still caring. In hindsight, that reaction takes on a tragic tone. It reminds us how fragile his sense of self had become, and how tightly it was bound to these fleeting digital affirmations. When those affirmations slowed down or turned sour, it's no wonder his sense of stability began to crumble.
Is it just keep your head up, man, and just learn? Sometimes I've learned is things always get better. Absolutely. Things will get better, and things always happen for a reason too, Risa. Make us stronger, prepare us for harder stuff. But once they break you, you become unbreakable. Let me try one more time. Once they break you, and you hit rock bottom, they can't do nothing else to you that's gonna get you. You're already experienced it, you've already been there. Huh? So always take a mistake or anything that sets you back as a learning, building up, thing. No wonder wrong, 11, 12-ish might have been me. Oh yeah, this is that little car. Yep, that's probably was you. Just have patience. Well, this is new to me, brothers and sisters, this is new to me. Even though we've been doing this as long, there's certain things that we're going through we've never experienced. And sometimes we gotta acknowledge them and learn how to deal with them. Because when they hit you, you're kind of confused. You don't really know what the hell to do or say. And like I said, sometimes it happens to build you up and give you that experience necessary for the future. You know, because once we get into more up there, imagine it's gonna get more difficult. You're gonna go through this shit again. You know, there's so many things I regret when we were growing. Like I should have never just like been putting people on like that. Like you know, like that's gonna change. You know, I don't know if you noticed, but it's changing already because I learned from it. You put people on stage, and then they get so confident and you know addicted to that being on the screen that they want to push you off the stage. And sometimes they want to do their own shit, so they shit on you to play the good guy, nice guy type shit. So that way your people go with them instead of them working for you, working their own to get where they want to be. They see you're up there and they want to pull you down, push you down your mountain, and them want to ride your back like a backpack, you know. And then they're ungrateful, you know. People you've seen on my stream before that were just supporter, and I see them with gimbal saying Manny. That's what I'm talking about. Ungrateful people. The people should be thankful, acknowledge, and respect me. But if it wasn't for me, you would have never been doing that shit. You know? If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have those people following you. You would have not learned how to do that. You know? Regardless what you feel I did or said to make you hate me. At the end of the day, I'm the one that fed you. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. But, you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep doing what we do.
At one point in the stream, Manny shifts into a tone of reflection and regret. He talks candidly about how some of his biggest mistakes came from putting people on his platform, giving them visibility, support, and access, only to have them turn against him. There's a sense of betrayal in his voice as he recounts how those he once helped used that same platform to attack his character, question his motives, and chip away at his credibility. He acknowledges this as a painful lesson, saying he's learning to be more cautious about who he trusts and allows into his creative space. This moment is revealing. It shows a man grappling with the consequences of misplaced loyalty and the blurred lines between content creation, community, and personal relationships. But even as he expresses regret, there's an undertone of self-preservation, a desire to reframe the narrative in his favor, portraying himself as someone who's been taken advantage of rather than someone who may have also played a role in the conflict's escalation.
Carlos called out that situation with that fool. Carlos called it out. His wife did actually. And that was like months before this fool, you know, unmasked himself and said, "Oh, I've been hating you since all year." Like, people seen that. You know? Carl, why was that saying? I hear that fool is no good. You know, I'm like, oh, no, a lot of people don't like him, but, you know, he's a good guy. She was spot on, she knew. You know? I mean, who put that thing together, man? Me. That's who. But at the end of the day, you can't focus on stuff like that because you're never gonna get your way. It's a road to nowhere. It's a road to nowhere. It's a waste of time. Time is money. Time is valuable. Time is hard to come by. We ain't got time. No, we ain't got time. So why waste our time and energy on something like that? Forget about it. Don't focus on it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You gotta accept it, acknowledge it, and know that shit happens, to learn from it. But you can't just be focused on it and just think about it the whole time. It's been months since last time I tuned in and scanned through these hater channels to see what they were saying, you know? But it took me experience to learn how to do that. Because everybody, if they're talking about, you're gonna go see what the fuck they're saying about me. You see, you know, you're gonna want to tap in. You know, you're gonna want to respond. You're gonna want to attack back, retaliate. I'm good with that. I don't even watch it no more. I told all my supporters don't send me shit, and they haven't sent me nothing no more. Now, so I'm happy in that. Mhm. I'm happy in that case because I'm ignoring, avoiding, and concentrating on my own. Focus, focus, focus.
He then moves into his personal interpretation of what he calls the breakdown of the family, referring to the fragmentation of his once loyal subscriber base and inner circle. According to him, others had begun to warn him that opposition was already brewing within his own camp. These weren't just trolls or strangers, these were people he once considered part of his digital family. Manny reflects on how he now avoids visiting what he calls the haters channels, clearly indicating that the criticism was having a profound emotional effect on him. From there, he shifts to discussing the challenges of transitioning to TikTok. He confesses that despite having a sizable following on YouTube, that same audience didn't follow him onto the new platform. This difficulty in rebuilding an audience came at a time when his YouTube channel had already been demonetized, stripping him of his main source of income. You can sense the frustration boiling beneath the surface as he rapidly pivots from reflecting on platform challenges to lamenting how, in his words, the hater channels were destroying his image. It's a moment that captures both desperation and the unraveling of someone who feels cornered, abandoned by allies, mocked by critics, and misunderstood by everyone in between.
Don't forget, guys, please go on my TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, guys. I'm trying to get that to the live streaming number. TikTok is super sensitive, so most likely it'll be streams like this. But that's what they watch there. I've seen it. It'll be just like this every day. I promise you. If you help me get to the subscriber amount for the live stream on TikTok, I promise you that every day, just like Sin City Family, I'll go every single day after the live streams here at the home, eating, doing what we do after hours. And who knows, I might have you in my room. You know, I might have you I set up the camera where it's facing me in my bed, and I could be watching TV and like talking to you guys, or you guys talking to each other, providing that platform where you guys can mix and mingle. You know. So I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to get her done. YouTube is a totally different animal than fucking TikTok. They're two totally different freaking worlds, guys. Trust me. They're two totally different groups of people. TikTok doesn't like YouTube. YouTube doesn't like TikTok. And I'm talking about the people. It's hard to convince people from YouTube to go to TikTok. And it's hard to convince the same way the other way around, TikTok to go to YouTube. How do I know that? Look at Khaled. Khaled's got like 30K subscribers on TikTok. And on YouTube, he had, 7 people watching him the other night? You know? And I'm not talking shit because that's just an example. Because the same shit. We got 45,000 subscribers on YouTube. And right now, I'm barely hitting 200 subscribers on TikTok. And let me tell you, a lot of them ain't coming from YouTube. A lot of them were just people from TikTok that come across me and subscribe. Max, it's hello from Straubing, Germany, Julie.
Germany.
Germany's in the house.
It's morning time in Germany. Good morning.
You know? So you gotta visualize it, go for it, execute it, and stay focused, guys. Stay focused. There's nothing wrong with like listening and hearing the shit that's going around just to make sure you gotta address anything, because there's gonna be times that they're gonna spread stuff that people will start to believe, and you don't want people to believe and look at you and think something wrong about you when you're not that person. You don't want somebody painting a picture out there of you that's not you. So those moments, you gotta speak up. You can't avoid that. You ignore that. You keep letting people be brainwashed like that. You keep letting them consume the whole planet of this false lies. Pretty soon the whole planet will hate you. And there won't be no fucking stage or audience that's gonna hear you say your side no more. Your audience won't be there. It'll be an empty stage, empty fucking arena. Because all your people left because they believe the shit. So before everybody believing the shit, you gotta address it. People say just ignore it, man, and keep going. Well, yes, you can ignore, comments and stuff like that, dumb shit, but when they start actually pulling people and you seeing that movement growing and everybody believing the shit, then at that moment you gotta say something to obviously correct it and defend yourself. It doesn't have to be physical, it doesn't have to be violence, it doesn't have to be retaliation and you telling them shit back. You just gotta say what the truth is and with the lie that's going around. Okay, this is the lie going around, I'm gonna tell you my side of the story, you know, and that way you guys know our side too. Because if you're just hearing one side, then that's all you heard. That's all you believe. You know what I mean? So be careful with that. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna be the end of this stream. I'm gonna leave it up this time. I'm gonna start leaving them up because I feel that if I take them down, nobody knows I was live, and nobody will come in and look for it again the following day.
As the stream nears its end, the tone shifts once again. Manny insists that he supports non-violent approaches to resolving the conflict surrounding him. He makes it a point to say he doesn't want drama, doesn't want to hurt anyone. On the surface, this may seem like a clarifying moment, a man drawing the line, setting his moral boundary. But that boundary is quickly blurred. Even as he speaks of peace, he continues to describe himself as being under attack, misunderstood, betrayed, and targeted by people he once helped or cared for. He says repeatedly that life is hitting him hard, reinforcing the image of a man who is not just struggling, but feeling cornered. His words paint a picture of someone pushed to the edge, not just financially or emotionally, but existentially. And yet, in the same breath, he pivots again, this time to frustration about imitation. He complains that others are trying to do what he does. For someone whose identity is so tied to uniqueness and recognition, the idea that others could imitate or succeed in the same space seems to cut deeper than he admits. His frustration doesn't just come from competition, it comes from a loss of control over his narrative and community.
I'm gonna try and do this every day until I hit my ability to live stream on TikTok. And I want you guys to be able to help me. If you have a TikTok, please share me. Share me. If you don't have a TikTok, share me. You're on here, you got a social media. Use this, share me. Share my TikTok, tell them help me. If you have to, tell them the story, the background. You know what I'm saying? We're being kicked and we're being punished and we're being, there's life is hitting us hard right now, and we trying, baby. We trying to do it the right way. We're trying to show the right way. We're trying to do the right path. We're trying to say the right things. We're not trying to let this hate consume us. And I want to make sure that all my people that watch me, every time they turn off that TV, they end with the smile on their face, or they end with motivation to start pursuing a dream or goal, or somebody is not feeling right, feels depressed. They say, I got to. And this is how we deal with it, boys. Stay busy, stay focused, find some activity to do, stay focused, and and that's what at one moment point in stage you'll be like, oh shit, well they're not, wasn't I crying the other day? Like, well, what you don't want to think that because then you start crying again. But and also don't bottle shit in, guys. Don't keep stuff bottled in because that will make you even worse. So sometimes it's okay to speak up and let people know, your situation. Otherwise, they don't know what the person acting different, this person acting weird, or like what's going on. And you might think it's other stuff, or you might think that these people, and it's always don't judge nobody, guys. Don't judge nobody with just what people say or what people think. Or you judge that person based on how that person treated you. What do you think about that person? It's not always about what the next man thought. It's always about what you think, what you experience, how they treat you, how they act with you. People tend to say, oh, that person treated me with love and respect, but it was fake love and fake respect. Well, call it what the fuck you want. But if you get treated with love and respect, period, who the hell's going to question that? You'd be stupid to question, hey, hold on, that guy treated me so nice, but I don't know, I think it's fake. Like, bro, regardless, treat you nice, treat you back nice. Stop thinking like that. Stop thinking like that, fam. Don't let nobody put that mentality upon you. Because stuff like that, you think stuff like that can get you in problems, guys, emotionally, physically. Like you're gonna regret it. Don't look for problems, you'll find them. Instead, avoid them and look for success. You know what I mean? You look for success, boys. Reach out, get your shit done. You know what I mean? Don't try to be like the next man. Do your own thing. Hustle and grind for your own. Well, some people say, hey, that guy inspired me to want to do that. But what they're really saying sometimes is, I want to take what that fool has. I'm not happy seeing that fool have that stuff, that luxury or that. what he does. Like, I want to do that shit. I want that game ball off his hands. Like, you know, so be careful because sometimes that's what it is. So don't ever try to like be like the next man. Instead, be yourself, follow your dream, do what you do. You know? If someone else already doing that stuff, look for something else. There's a lot of different type of stuff to do in this world. There's a lot of different types of content. You know what I mean? Why do the exact same shit someone else do? You know?
Given everything we've explored so far, the emotional unraveling, the public feuds, the financial pressures, the shifting online audience, and the deep sense of betrayal Manny seemed to carry, it becomes clear that this was not a situation that erupted out of nowhere. It was a slow, painful build-up. So, what do you think ultimately led to the tragic outcome? Was it the loss of income and relevance that pushed him to the edge? Was it the feeling of being outnumbered by critics and abandoned by his once loyal family? Was it the internal conflict of trying to maintain a public persona while privately unraveling? Or was it something deeper, an unchecked paranoia, a loss of control, a long-standing inability to emotionally regulate? At this point, it's not just about one bad night, it's about a series of choices, ignored warning signs, and a system of emotional and social feedback loops that may have made Manny feel like he was drowning even as he smiled through live streams. Now we want to hear from you. Based on everything you've seen and heard so far, what do you believe pushed this from a digital feud to a real-world tragedy? Let us know in the comments. Your insight matters. And so, we reach the end of this in-depth breakdown, an emotional and psychological dive into what may have been Manny Wise's final reflection before everything changed. We've examined the layers, the contradictions, the confessions, the cracks in his persona, and we've tried to do so with care, nuance, and respect for those impacted. To all my members watching right now, thank you. Your support means more than you know. It allows for videos like this to exist, content that's not driven by algorithms or clicks, but by a real commitment to thoughtful, responsible storytelling. In future videos, we'll continue to unpack the broader context, the role of social media feuds, parasocial relationships, platform accountability, and how mental health intersects with public performance. But I also want to hear from you. What would you like to see covered next? Are there other elements of this case you'd like me to explore more deeply? Would you like a breakdown of Finny's perspective, platform culture, or how followers become fuel for online conflict? This story, as tragic and disturbing as it is, holds powerful lessons for anyone navigating digital spaces, especially where parasocial relationships and online influence are involved. First, we must recognize the real-world consequences of online conflict. What starts as trolling, clout chasing, or public feuds for entertainment can quickly escalate when emotional instability, financial desperation, and personal ego are in play. Manny Wise's unraveling is not just about internet drama, it's a case study in how digital personas can collide with real-life consequences. Second, be cautious of the illusion of community. While building a supportive audience is powerful, it becomes dangerous when creators rely on their platforms for personal validation and when followers feel entitled to dictate a creator's behavior. That emotional entanglement can fuel obsession from both directions. And finally, no amount of online fame, likes, or monetization is worth a life. 2 people lost their lives in this situation. Children lost parents. Families are forever scarred. This isn't entertainment, it's a tragedy. And if we're going to cover stories like this, we must do it with reflection, not just reaction. Let this be a cautionary tale, not just about Manny, but about the world that allowed this to spiral unchecked. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay safe, stay reflective, and thank you again for being here.
Patricia, what's up, Patricia? Jess. What's up, Thompson? So Lulu. Hey guys, so please follow me on my TikTok. I'm gonna end this right here, but I'll be live again on this tomorrow, same time, same place. Tune in. I'll keep going live on this until we hit that ability on TikTok, and then from there we'll kick it to TikTok instead of here, because I don't think that you can make funds on here. Can you?
Can you what?
Can you make a living on this thing?
Yeah, you can get paid, but you have to, I don't know how many, I think it's 10,000.
You gotta get to 10,000 followers. Yeah, well, follow me, guys. Share this shit too, because you know, this is what we do for a living, guys. We are entertainers. We are influencers. You know, this is what we do for a living. This is how we pay our bills. This is what we've been doing for over 3 years straight, and we don't want to stop doing it. We want to look for I'm going to branch out to everything and anything I have in my grasp and reach to try and improve my life, my family's life, and most importantly, the family watching at home's life. And I want to show you guys that right example on how you do it. You know, I'm not gonna go look for them fools that been spraying shit like that and go like end up in jail, or you know what I mean? Like, it's dumb. Why would I throw everything away I built? You know, some people were like, you gotta go show that example what people get when they mess with us, and it's like, nah, I'm gonna show them the right way, because no matter what people say, because imagine if you're trying to go after every person that talk about you, just imagine that. Where are you gonna end up? You're not. Or if you're easy to be brainwashed by stupidness, you're letting people brainwash you and fill your mind up with lies or their vision. If you're a follower, like that type of follower, then they can lead you somewhere wherever they want, because you following them. Then that way, like, hey, go do that. Go jump over that bridge. It's gonna be fun. Cool guys do that. Oh really, dude? That wasn't fun at all. Hurts my legs. You guys, follow Sin City Family, Sin City Manny. Most importantly, go to TikTok, Manny Wise. Look me up. I appreciate you. Let me show you where it looks